Hi everyone, thank you for joining. We will wait a minute or so just for a couple more people to join and then we'll get started.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We will make a start now. So just the next slide, please. So I'm Delbir Sahota. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management for the Bankers Almanac portfolio. I'm joined also by Sumit Bhardwaj, who's the Group Product Manager across the Bankers Almanac portfolio. We'll be presenting today, so thank you for joining us, spending time with us to understand a couple of areas around the agenda today. So one, we're going to give you a roadmap update. It will showcase what we've been working on, what we've delivered thus far in the first quarter, and you will also see what is coming in forthcoming quarters for 2023. I'm going to take you through some demos to show you the latest features, enhancements that we brought into the product today. We will also go through what's next, and there'll be plenty of time for questions that you may have. So in terms of the roadmap for 2023, before we go into what we've delivered thus far, just want to spend a few moments talking about the vision and some of the key features that we are planning to launch this year. So our North Star, that is our vision. What we're shooting for is to be the market leader in compliance data and document exchange for regulated banks and PSPs. That fundamentally hasn't changed, and neither should it. This is something that we are fixated on in terms of strategically achieving, and the roadmaps are a way for us to progress towards that North Star. And we've made a great start this year. So what you'll see today is some of the enhancements that we put in the product already since we last spoke around 4 or 5 months ago, and we will showcase all of that during this webinar. But we're making great progress. We've delivered digitalized Wolfsburg questionnaire already in our API. So we have around 4,500 correspondent banking due diligence questionnaires. Each one has around 110 data points. What we've done is digitalize all of that data, so it's easily accessible in our product and in our API, meaning that customers like yourselves don't have to go and get that data yourselves. It's readily available through an API or in our product for you to digest into your risk assessments for financial counterparty KYC risk management. What we've also done is we've put out a new bank rankings page into the product already this quarter, which customers are using and giving us feedback on so we can iterate further. And then as of today, only a few hours ago, we launched another feature, which is putting email notifications around the alerting feature that we have in the product. That went live today, and in the announcements page in the product, you'll see other aspects of what we've delivered this month. We're going to continue that rhythm that we have got familiar with and yourselves as customers have got familiar with. Every month we are moving the product forward, providing more value based on the feedback that you give us, and equally aligning to that North Star to get close to that North Star, continuously putting value, new feature sets, solving customer problems in our products. Next slide, please. So since we last met and we last spoke and gave you an update in a webinar such as this today, there's a fair few areas that you wanted us to prioritize and work through. So I mentioned the bank ranking enhancements. That's been live for some time. We have put UBO enhancements in. So Sumit will share and showcase and demo those enhancements, but centers around having more insights on the UBOs. Are those UBOs sanctioned? Are those UBOs PEPs, politically exposed people? And is there any adverse media news associated to those UBOs? There's watch list alerts that we've put into the product. Mentioned the digitalization of the Wolfsburg questionnaire. There's a new section in terms of frequently asked questions. And then there's a counterparty rankings export feature. And these are all live. This is everything that we've been working tirelessly on to develop and refine the product and get those enhancements out to all of our customers across the globe. Next slide. And at this point, I'm going to hand you over to Sumit, and he's going to talk you through some of those features that we brought to life and demo those during the next session of the webinar. Thank you, Sumit.
Thanks, Dan. I'll share my screen. Can you please confirm you see my screen?
Just coming up. There we go. We can see it now. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this afternoon. My name is Sumit. I'm the Group Product Manager for Bankers Almanac product at LexisNexis solution. At Bankers Almanac, our mission, our objective is to save time and effort for you all and all our customers, as well as provide the most up-to-date and accurate information. To deliver on that objective, we work with you, listen to your pain points, and then find solutions which we keep introducing in the product via our monthly releases. So today, I'm going to present and demo 3 such features of Bankers Almanac, which is designed to solve big pain points you guys have told us about. So 2 of these features are already live, and one of the features is in the design and development stage. So I'm going to share the wireframes as a sneak preview of the same. So the first feature I want to share with you is the UBO enhancement. As we all agree, identifying an ultimate beneficiary owner in a complex corporate structure is a time-consuming task. Now, identifying the UBO is only one part. Then understanding and finding out if that particular UBO is a politically exposed person, or he's sanctioned individual, or there is an adverse media against him, is it even a bigger challenge? So our Bankers Almanac UBO module addresses this. So let's take an example. Let's take an example of this Russian bank, say Bank of Russia. So we click Bank of Russia, we land onto the entity details page, which gives more information about the entity. But today we are more interested in learning about the UBOs. So we'll directly jump into the ownership chart. So we jump through the ownership into the ownership chart. And as you can see that, it's not a very simple complex. It's not very simple corporate structure. It's very complex. Now, it's a difficult task to figure out all the UBOs and the entire structure, and it takes days, sometimes hours, and we intend to solve that. So first thing I do is I basically highlight UBO just to understand where all the UBOs are. And then I just try to zoom in and understand them one by one. So let's say this person, the Sadi Radudin, he is a substantial owner. He is 3.03% owner of Bank of Russia directly, which is since it's direct, it's a substantial amount. Now this tab shows me that he is a sanctioned individual, is a politically exposed person in adverse media and enforcement around. So I want to start my my assessment. So first I click the sanction tab. So I click the sanction. The right drawer comes and basically tells me about the sanctioned source and sanction strength. So now this information is telling me that this guy is sanctioned by US Treasury. He is also sanctioned by the Canadian Department of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Development, Economical and US sanction list. He's also sanctioned on the Bank of England list by Australian Department of Foreign Affairs, and so on and so forth. So it kind of gives me confidence that there is a substantial sanction around it. If I want, I can go into more detail to understand the information. Now, this gives me more information about why this individual is sanctioned and who exactly is this individual. So we give information about that this is a US Treasury SDN list, OFAC list, and the strength is 100%. So basically, it means that we have very strong confidence that this person is the same person who is basically sanctioned. So this is one of the enhancement which we provide today in the UBL. At the same time, some individual might not be sanctioned, but he can be politically exposed person. Now, the good thing is that this guy is all three, so we can take the same example. Now I click the PEP tab pretty much in the same way I click the sanction. And again, the same pattern, the right-hand drawer tells me more information about this person. I have at least two sources which is indicating that he might be a politically exposed person. So obviously I'll go for the 100% strength. I want to understand why this person is PEP, and this gives me more information. So now this information tells me that this person is PEP because on February 28th, 2022, the European Union list added Sergei Dobykin for actively supporting materially financial Russian decision makers responsible for annexation of Crimea and destabilization of Ukraine. So basically, he's a very strong political figure in Russia. Therefore, he is a politically exposed person. So this kind of gives you an indication of this individual, and he can be connected to a lot of powerful circuits in Russia. Last, but definitely not the least, adverse media and enforcement. And again, the same logic, the right-hand drawer comes and it tells about various sources where this name of this individual has come. We can click the match, and we can also see the same information about him being sanctioned, and there is more information about the same guy. So this is one of the features which is available, and I can do this, for all other individuals as well. So another example is Mikhail Shelmov, who's aggregated 7.97%. So he doesn't have the direct ownership, but indirect ownership. In an aggregate, he owns 7.97%. But at the same time, he's also sanctioned PEP and adverse media enforcement. So my assessment of a particular UBO and his status as a sanctioned PEP or adverse media and enforcement individual can be reduced from probably days to few months. So this is one of the feature I wanted to show you today. The second feature I want to demo for you is the digital version of the Wolfsburg Correspondent Banking Due Diligence Questionnaire, CBDDQ. This document was always available as a PDF in our document section. However, our customers have told us it's difficult and cumbersome to work with the PDF, especially when we have to focus on certain section of the questionnaire as per the organization policy or the risk policy, or when you have to copy and transfer this information into your reporting system. So we have solved this. So let me show you. Let's take another example of another bank. Let's take BNP Paribas. So we have BNP Paribas Bank. So we have landed on this. It's a Belgium-based bank. Let's go to the document section. So, like I said, the Wolfsburg questionnaire is was always available in a PDF format, but now we have added this view digital document link. So if you do not want the PDF for assessment, you can simply click on this link, and it takes you to the digital version, which looks something like this. It basically on the right-hand side give you the jump to section, so that you can directly go into the areas where your organizational policy mandate you to. So, for example, we know that one of the section which all of you are interested in is number 10 section, which is about sanctions. So you can click directly onto number 10. You can see that what are the answers to different questions. We also know that another section which you are really interested in is the audit, and then you can jump onto that as well. So it basically expedite the entire assessment of you looking into the Woodsburg questionnaire from a user point of view, from your point of view. It's also available in PDF format, so you can download your PDF as earlier as part of the documentary evidence. But at the same time, if you need this information for consuming and reporting it into your reporting tools, you can simply click this export CSV, and this information is available to you now in the Excel format as well. So no more copying of the PDF and cumbersome way of transferring that information. You can take the CSV and you can elegantly transfer the information. So these were the two features, and these were the demos of the feature we already have live in the product. Let's look a bit ahead in future. So our customers, you all have told us that you conduct due diligence, and while you're conducting your due diligence, there are instances where you have to contact the counterparty for further details. Now, it may be a simple question as asking for some clarification on let's say CBDQ, or it can be as complex as requesting for passport copies for both directors, or a text document which is required beyond the data and documents provided in Bankers Almanac. And to address that, you rely on emails, phone calls, etc., which is time consuming and kind of risky, especially if you're using email channels, etc. So we are developing a customer messaging system to resolve this issue. Let us show you how will it look. So this is the wireframe. So this is not live. In future, let's say, if you're doing the risk assessment on Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank and you have a query, all you have to do is simply click the send message. So you click the send message, it opens a message window for you. You can type, some information required directly from Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank. So, for example, in this case, we are saying, can you provide us a list of companies board of director? And you can just send, press the send button, and the message will be sent. At the same time, what will happen at Hong Kong and Shanghai's bank, it will receive information saying, can you please provide the list of companies board director? It's like an inbox, but not in the open space. It's within the Bankers Almanac space. We will encrypt the message end to end. So even us as the product people or engineers will not be able to have the access of whatever information you are exchanging with your counterparty. But at the same time, it will be available to you. So when the bank responds back, giving you the information, that information comes back to you. So this feature is already in development and expected to be available in Bankers Almanac in iterative releases, with the MVP scheduled by the end of quarter 2. So that's all I have for you all today. Julia will be asking for your feedback via Slido. Would love to get more feedback from you all, and happy to take any questions you have today. Thanks for listening, and over to you, Julia.
Thanks, Sima. I'll just get these slides back up. Perfect. So if everyone can just get to Slido, we're just going to ask you for some of your feedback. If you can scan the QR code or go to slido.com, pop in that code, and we'll get started on the Slido in just a few moments. Give you some time to get there. All right, let's get started. So we're just going to ask you 4 questions just to get your feedback. It's just a very simple polling function. So the first question is around people of influence data. Dale, feel free to add more context around this.
Sure. So essentially, we're looking to prioritize some of our roadmap. So that's the spirit of the question. As Sumit sort of highlighted, we made some advancements with our UBO module to bring insight on those UBOs who are sanctioned, who are PEPs, who have adverse media news. One of the areas that we're thinking to extend that to is the board of directors. So just trying to get some insights to fuel our delivery of our roadmap in terms of what will come next. Just going to give it another moment or two before we move on to the next question. I really appreciate your participation. Let's see if we can get it up to 10. We're at 6. Three to go. We're at 7. Thank you. Final call before we move on. Let's move on. So what other documents would you like us to digitalize? So Sumit showcased the digitalization of the CBDDQ, the Correspondent Banking Due Diligence Questionnaire. Keen to get a steer on what other documents you'd like us to digitalize. So whether that's the banking license, W8 tax form, the USA Patriots Act certificate, or other. Quite similar results to a webinar that we've done actually for the EMEA and APAC region more recently. Very, very similar. I think, if you correct me if I'm wrong, Sumit, I think banking license was the top 4 for that webinar that we ran just over a week ago. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's move on. Next question. Would you like your correspondent banks to enter their Wolfsburg questionnaire information directly into Bankers Almanac instead of generating a PDF? So currently we have the Wolfsburg questionnaire represented as a PDF. We've digitalized that PDF. The spirit of this question is allowing banks, correspondent banks across the world to put all of that data directly into Bankers Almanac without a physical document, and thus, having a fully digitalized user journey, customer journey that participants can pursue. got a split camp there. And these insights are super valuable for us, but equally yourselves as customers, because it really helps us establish where we should be focusing, and it gives me and Sumi and the team some challenges to comprehend and work through as we move forward with our roadmap. So super helpful. Really appreciate your insights and your input. Another 20 seconds before we close the poll. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on, Julia.
So I think we had one final poll question.
Oh, beg your pardon, everyone. Would you like to receive a notification if an update is made to the Wolfsburg questionnaire content? So approximately 110 question, the value of that. Any one of those questions changes from a previous version, would you like to receive an alert, an update, either in the product or in our API? Excellent. Thanks for participating. Let's move on to Q&A. There's an opportunity for you to put questions. There's a bar certainly on the right hand side of my screen where you can put some questions in if you wish to do so. Juliet, do we have any questions coming through?
Not just yet. We'd had a couple which were pre-submitted, so a couple of questions that came through before the webinar, so we'll start with those ones. If you do have any questions, do feel free to pop them into the Q&A box. So the first question was somebody asking where we source our sanctions and PEP data from.
Great. I can take that one, Sumit. So this is something that we have as a firm. So we have world compliance data, a leading product out in the marketplace, has been for many years. So that's world compliance. We are sourcing the sanctions, PEP and adverse media data from our leading product in the market, world compliance. This is something that we source every day into Bankers Almanac. So we're truly leveraging the full breadth and depth of our data and data analytics capabilities as a firm across the globe.
Perfect. Another question was around the API elements, so the API availability for KYC. So what is that and why have we created that one?
Yeah, we'll both answer this one. So I'll start with the why. So why did we create it? Fundamentally, again, based on customer feedback and insights driven from our research with our customers across the globe. It was launched approximately 4 years ago. So it's been in the market for some time. But the reason why we created it was around the theme and trend of digitalization. So many organizations across the globe, financial institutions, wanted to digitalize and transform their KYC processes. That was one of the reasons why we created it. So in digitalizing their processes, we were able to give them an API an API that streams data and documents straight into a risk assessment. So feeding their applications in where they do their KYC risk assessments. And really to curb the cost, the spiraling cost of compliance, it allowed financial institutions or their analysts to spend more time actually assessing risk and making better risk-based decisions. And that time was freed up because they didn't have to collect the data manually or download documents manually. All that could be streamlined, made fast and quick through an API, feeding their applications where they do KYC risk assessments. So all of that free time used by customers for making better risk-based decisions. Anything you'd like to add, Sumit?
No, Dale, you've covered it all. Maybe two more things which is not applicable for everyone, but we have seen that apart from what Dale has mentioned, you may have your own system which basically requires the API as part of the larger workflow, and therefore it kind of helps there as well. We also have API to support some of the automation use case. So maybe we do not want the KYC analyst to go through it. Maybe you want the automated way of doing the due diligence as a preliminary part of it, and that also is provided and enabled through the APIs. That's two more use cases just to add to what Dale has mentioned.
Excellent addition, Sumit. Thank you.
Thank you both. And then another one around the API that we saw, which was around, I think it's around the upgrade path. So how would an existing customer go from their existing KYC solution to using the API?
Yeah, so I think it's an API for those not familiar. An API stands for Application Program Interface, and it allows systems to be speaking to each other and applications to talk to each other. So Bankers Almanac does have an API, as we've mentioned, and in terms of the simplicity of that API, for technologists that may be on the call, it is a REST API. It's a highly structured API, and we've seen customers adopt the API fairly quickly. So it can be timelines to adopt with your working with your technology teams out there. It can be as simple as 2 weeks, and as the complexity of your systems or the complexity of design of your workflows, it can take a little bit longer. But in essence, it is a simple API. It's a reference data API, so you're pulling data from us. It's not an API that pushes data to you, and for that respect, it's that simplicity. It is hosted by us. It is on the cloud. So in terms of cloud technology, that we have some of the features that we can deploy, they can be deployed very, very fast, allowing access to this data through a cloud service. Ingesting that data can be very, very simple.
Perfect, thank you. And just a reminder, everyone, you can post questions in the chat. We just had one final question which had come through before the webinar, and that is around the comparison of what sets Bankers Almanac apart versus the Swift registry. Dale, maybe that's one for you.
Thank you. It's a good question. I'm going to focus our intentions on us rather than Swift. And by design and by intent, we're focusing on 3 areas to differentiate ourselves. So number 1 is really centered around the customer. And when we center ourselves around the customer, we are looking to design for delight. So some of the features that you've seen here today, in terms of what Sumit and myself have shared, they've come based on feedback from customers. They've come from understanding and empathizing with some of the challenges you have as customers, and us looking at ways and solutions by design to delight in terms of how we can reduce some of that pain in your processes around KYC, risk management and compliance. So intentionally designing for delight and reaching out to customers, doing the right level of discovery, understanding the pain points, empathizing with customers to formulate the best solutions. So that's number one. By intentions, we are looking to be different. Number two is centered on innovation. So as a product management team, we are super focused on innovating, designing solutions that really push the boundaries. So part of our innovation that you saw today was in the customer messaging system. What we are designing to delight customers with, to solve for real pain problems that you have voiced and that we've heard. So the pain point there, what we've heard and seen, is that if customers, a bank wants to communicate with another bank, they have to come outside of the product, they have to go to an email channel, and they have to send out an email. We don't want that discomfort. We want the comfort to be in the product, and therefore you can communicate with another bank, another side of the world, very quickly within the product, get responses. And actually there's a bit more of expansion that we want to do around that feature set to make it deeper. But number two, where we're looking to be very different out in the market, is by innovating. Number three is speed to market. So if you look back on what we've achieved over the last 31 months, every month for 31 months, we've been releasing value enhancements to our product to solve for the pain or the discomfort and the problems out there in the market. So that speed to market is something that we've really accelerated on over the last 31 months, but we're not going to stop there. We do want to move to daily releases. So our speed is going to continue to accelerate, moving away from monthly releases to daily releases. If you look back where the portfolio was about 3 years ago, we were doing releases on a semi-annual to quarterly basis. We've gone from that to monthly, and we want to increase the speed to solve for your problems by innovating solutions, moving from monthly to daily. And those are the three areas where we're really looking to be different out in the market. Great question.
Brilliant, thanks, Dale. Last call for questions. If anybody has a question, you can publish it in the Q&A box. So we'll just give it a little bit of time in case any final questions come through. Nothing just yet, Dale, so let me know when you want to move on.
Brilliant. Thanks for all the questions. Really challenging, really insightful, and really inspiring. So really appreciate those questions. Something that I wanted to share with you today is a recent podcast that we've done. So the RegTech Pulse is a LexisNexis Risk Solutions podcast. It's accessible by the link there. You'll find us on all the platforms where podcasts are available. But this was a great podcast that we've done in partnership with the Wolfsburg Group. So Alan Ketley, who's the Executive Secretary at the Wolfsburg Group, he is a bit of a rock star when it comes to financial crime, a bit of an A-lister. He's worked at many financial institutions over the last 40 years. And it was just great to engage with him on the Wolfsburg Group, what they're doing in terms of the fight against financial crime and how they've evolved the correspondent banking due diligence questionnaire and what we've been doing to help the market around the questionnaire as well. It's a great listen. I encourage you to listen to it, but wanted to share that with you today as well. See, there's another question just come on board as well. So I would like to take a moment just to answer that.
Oh, perfect.
Just reading the question. Whoops.
I've just moved it to published, Dale, so everyone else can read it as well.
So our department are using BA not exactly for KYC risk management purposes, but to understand and capture financial institutional data. For example, knowing which institutions are active with a country, the SWIFT or routing codes associated with the bank, are these features going to be enhanced, or might they be different product that we should look into? Excellent question. This is something that we are evolving and enhancing as we go forth, and I think it's a great call out. One of the things that we're pursuing is centered around other use cases within the product, particularly the payments use case. That's coming out very loud and clear. So in terms of the ask, if you reach out to myself or Sumit, would love to spend some time with yourself as a customer, just to understand the specifics and understand how we can add that to our roadmap. So please reach out to us and we will book a session, a discovery session, a customer discovery session, so we can dive a little bit deeper into your request. Just going to wait to see if there's any more questions. Don't think there is any coming through, so just like to say a big thank you on behalf of all of us that presented today. Thank you for spending the time with us. It's been very insightful for us to understand some of the feedback and your participation in the Slido questionnaire and equally the questions. But I wish you well, and I wanted to say a big thank you from all of us, and we will speak to you next time. Thanks again.